2nd, last day of the week, second day of the month. So let's go ahead and see what we're going to be getting into today. So looking on the monthly, you can see as February starts to form, right? Yesterday was just one day in. We could see we have traded higher, not past the high of last week, so we're still inside last week's range. We traded almost right off last week's +4, which kind of tells us that momentum traders are still in control. We're still getting the upside going here. You can see the market trading 49.29, so really close to yesterday's close right now. No surprise really that we can see 2 monthly touches of our equilibrium, that 49.40 level, right? It seems to be an area that draws the market in, but so far the takeaway from the monthly is that we're above that 48.70 half, and we're inside the previous month's range still. So switching over to the weekly, you can see we're still, on an outside week. We had been on an outside week, but we had since traded back inside the range, or closed inside the range yesterday. So we'll definitely want to be paying attention to that high from last week, which is at 49.34 quarter, and last week's close 49.16 quarter. Should the market be able to stay above there or close above there today, it would be a sign of strength for the market. Switching over here to the daily, you can see yesterday we had that move higher. So we had a -4 bar. We had talked about being very careful getting short if we are above the settle, right? We did take some shorts yesterday, and then late in the day got that larger rally, kind of leading into the earnings reports, and earnings took the market up to an all-time high. Can't see it on here because it happened in the Globex session, and we've set that all-time high in the Globex session once again. Now switching over here to the profiles. You can see the settle from yesterday, 49.2850. We have that previous untouched settle from the all-time high at 49.51. We've set a new all-time high in the Globex session, but have since traded lower, and you can see kind of how the Globex session opened up. That end period opened up, and the market pretty much traded sideways for the entirety of Globex. News came out, and the market lost its bid. A bunch of liquidation, and now we're back inside yesterday's spike that we finished to the upside. So with that being said, there's a couple of areas that we definitely want to be paying attention to. We had some Brad prints down here. Definitely need to adjust these a little bit. We did trade into them a little bit. And then we had some more up here higher, right near our weekly +4, right? So right near that 49.16 quarter where we had talked about if the market's above that, it's pretty strong, and we want to be just kind of aware of that level and be paying attention to it below it. We know we got a little bit slippery. We saw that slipperiness kind of come in, and we've seen it since given back. Yesterday was not a +4 or -4 or anything like that, so we're not really going to have to be worrying too much about the settle. The settle was that 49.28. We still have about 25 minutes until the open. There is a possibility of opening up on a gap, so gap rules could be in play, and that'll be something that you have to be aware of as the market comes into the open. Right, you want to go with any gap that doesn't fill early. With overnight inventory, 100% net long, but we're back at the settle. There's not really going to be a need to look for an overnight inventory correction. And about 75% of the time we revisit a very wide point of control. In this case, it's going to be a little bit different just because that, would have to take a pretty strong bid to be there. But should we catch this bid and hold above this previous high, then we would assume that that would be the upside target, right? We do have our equilibrium at 40, and then we've got that previous untouched settle at 51, and the all-time high, cash all-time high at 57 quarter. And so that would be the target on this kind of breakout trade to the upside. Now, to the downside, and one thing that we want to be cautious of, a break of this weekly +4 could bring in more liquidation and look towards some of these Brad prints from yesterday, where we know there's some liquidity sitting down below. That will be something that we want to be paying attention to, of course, but that will just have to be kind of as the time comes. So far, what we're looking for is looking like play number 2, where we're going to be looking for it to come down, test this value area high. We want to see it hold this 18 to 16 level and then try to catch the bid up to that 30. So we're looking around from 18 to 16 up to that 30, to that settle. If we gain some strength above that settle, 40 becomes the next target, and then 51 becomes the next target after that. And then, you know, if you're feeling really ambitious, and today's Friday, 56 is that overnight point of control, 57 quarter, the all-time high. Should it lose that settle, right, or should it not catch a strong bid, and we're looking here for a one tap, right? We want to see kind of a V shape. If the market catches an offer, comes down, we want to see a V shape because we want to know that buyers stepped in here, right? It's also this distribution's point of control. It's our weekly, previous week's +4 close. So we really want to see some conviction from buyers there to convince us. If not, and we don't see that conviction, the market could become very choppy in here into this distribution, and you could just see it look to fill in from the 06 to the 88 and kind of fill in this weaker spot, right? Not as weak as the spot above, but a weaker area in this kind of double distribution look. So you could see it try to fill that in. We know there's some trapped liquidity down there, so we'll just have to kind of pay attention and see. The one thing I definitely want to advocate for, right, is the trend, right? The trend is still up. So I know we got some downside, and a lot of people are going to come in and be like, oh, well, the market's crashing, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, find me a chart that shows that the market's crashing, and I'll give you $1 because, you know, that's a free dollar for me. It's just not in the cards there, right? And so like I say, and like I've always said, is don't try to predict the top, don't try to call the top, just wait for the top to form, wait for a downtrend to start, and then get on the trend, right? But until then, the overall trend is definitely up. We can see it big time on the monthly, right? The weekly had the cessation of one time framing, but is now trading into a balance. And the daily has, you know, started moving back up. And we've got excess on the past 2 prior day lows. So you just got to be kind of careful and be aware of the trend. You don't want to get caught in something by trying to predict or trying to be right. And I think that is pretty much it. You know, we're kind of going to be grouping this into a little bit more of a balance here. We can see if we smash these profiles together, you can kind of see this triple distribution starting to form here. And you kind of see how the market goes, right? So it goes balance, balance, imbalance, tried to balance here, and in a sense kind of moved down. So now that we're back inside this distribution here, this is where buyers need to hold. Like I said, the 16 quarter. Buyers hold that level, then that will give us our targets to the upside, make our lives pretty easy. If they fail to hold that, I think it becomes very choppy in here. Probably a two-way market, probably some opportunity on both sides, but you just got to be careful should you get long, you know, below that level. Let's say you try to go from that 10 level, which has been a pretty significant level, or 5. A lot of people have been liking that 5 level lately. You could get a slip down here to this 95, 96 area, and even lower down towards yesterday's open. So you've really just got to be careful should we break below that 49.16 quarter. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Hey, Dumb Money, thank you. I appreciate it.